For years, fans have searched for clues in glances, pauses, unfinished sentences, and moments that felt too real to be scripted. And then it happened. On a live broadcast, with no edits, no second takes, and no chance to walk it back, Dylan Wang finally said the words that changed everything. Not loudly, not dramatically, but truthfully. This is not just a story about two actors. This is a story about timing, pressure, silence, and what it means when someone finally stops hiding behind roles. The camera was rolling. The atmosphere was casual. The kind of setting where stars usually stay safe, smiling, charming, carefully neutral. Dylan Wang had done this countless times before. Interviews, live streams, variety shows. He knew how to navigate them. Or at least he thought he did. Then a question came. Simple on the surface. Dangerous underneath. It was the kind of question fans love and celebrities usually dodge. A question about the past. About Meteor Garden. About Shen Yue. For a split second, Dylan hesitated. That pause mattered more than any sentence that followed. In that silence, you could feel it. The weight of years. The memories. The expectations. The unspoken agreement to keep things vague, safe, unfinished. His smile faded, just slightly. His eyes shifted, not toward the camera, but inward. And then he spoke. He did not laugh it off. He did not redirect. He did not say what people expected him to say. Instead, he told the truth. He spoke about Shen Yue not as a co-star, not as a marketing partner, not as a convenient name tied to his rise to fame. He spoke about her as someone real. Someone important. Someone who mattered to him in a way that went beyond scripts and scenes. The words themselves were not loud, but their meaning was seismic. He acknowledged her presence in his life during a time when everything was changing. He admitted that what they shared was not something that could be neatly categorized or easily dismissed. He spoke of connection, of understanding, of moments that stayed with him long after the cameras stopped rolling on Meteor Garden. For fans who had followed every interview, every behind-the-scenes clip, every rumored interaction, this was not just confirmation. It was validation. Because suddenly, the things people had felt were no longer just imagination. The glances that lingered too long. The comfort that looked too natural. The chemistry that felt less like acting and more like recognition. All of it finally had a voice. And the most striking part was not what he said, but how he said it. There was no attempt to dramatize. No effort to control the narrative. His tone was calm, reflective, almost vulnerable. As if speaking about Shen Yue required honesty, not performance. The live camera caught everything. The way his voice softened when he said her name. The way he chose his words carefully, as if protecting something fragile. The way he did not deny, deflect, or distance himself from the past. In that moment, Dylan Wang was not a global star. He was just a man acknowledging a truth he had carried quietly for years. The internet reacted instantly. Clips spread like wildfire. Fans replayed the moment again and again, analyzing every word, every expression. Comment sections filled with disbelief, tears, and one overwhelming sentiment. So it was real. But this moment did not come out of nowhere. It was the culmination of a long, complicated history. When Meteor Garden aired, Dylan Wang and Shen Yue became more than actors. They became symbols. Their on-screen relationship blurred into something that felt deeply personal, almost intimate. Fans sensed it immediately. Not just chemistry, but familiarity. Ease. Trust. Yet as their careers exploded, silence followed. They went separate ways professionally. Interviews became careful. Mentions became rare. And rumors, instead of disappearing, only grew stronger. Some said it was all fan imagination. Others insisted there was something more, something that timing, pressure, and industry expectations had buried. Dylan's words on live camera did not expose every detail. They did not offer dates, labels, or declarations. But they did something far more powerful. They acknowledged truth. And in an industry built on image control, that is rare. By speaking openly, even briefly, Dylan crossed an invisible line. He chose honesty over ambiguity, humanity over strategy. And Shen Yue's name, spoken with respect and warmth, suddenly felt heavier than any headline. This was not a scandal. It was not a confession designed to shock. It was a quiet reckoning with the past. For fans, it reopened old emotions. For skeptics, it raised new questions. And for Dylan himself, it marked a shift. Because once truth is spoken out loud, it cannot be taken back. What happens next remains uncertain. Will Shen Yue respond? Was this closure, or the beginning of a new chapter? Was this a memory being honored, or a door being left slightly open? No one knows. But what is clear is this. The story of Dylan Wang and Shen Yue was never just fiction. And on that live broadcast, with nothing but a camera and a moment of honesty, the truth finally stepped into the light. Sometimes, the most powerful revelations are not shouted. They're simply spoken when silence becomes heavier than truth. And yet, even after the words were spoken, the moment did not end. Because some truths do not conclude a story. They reshape it. After the live stream ended, the silence returned, but it felt different this time. Heavier. Charged. As if something long suspended in the air had finally landed, and everyone could feel the impact even if they could not yet explain it. Fans began revisiting the past with new eyes. Old interviews resurfaced. Moments once dismissed as coincidence suddenly carried meaning. A glance held a second longer than necessary. A smile that appeared before the camera was fully ready. A hesitation when asked about ideal types. Back then, these fragments were brushed aside as youthful awkwardness or clever fan service. Now they felt like evidence. Dylan's live confession did not rewrite history. It illuminated it. What made his words resonate so deeply was not romance alone. It was restraint. For years, he had chosen silence. Not denial, not performance, just silence. And in an industry where stories are often manufactured, that silence now looked intentional. Protective. Almost respectful. Because some connections are not meant to be consumed by the public. Those close to the production of Meteor Garden had once hinted that the bond between the two leads was unusually natural. Not forced. Not rehearsed. They trusted each other instinctively. On set, they communicated without effort. When cameras stopped rolling, they lingered, talked, laughed in ways that did not feel staged. But timing is cruel. As Meteor Garden exploded in popularity, expectations became unbearable. Every interaction was scrutinized. Every smile became a headline. And with fame came fear. Fear of losing control. Fear of damaging careers that were just beginning to rise. So distance replaced closeness. Not because feelings disappeared, but because reality demanded caution. Dylan's words on live camera now felt like an apology to the past. Not spoken directly, but felt all the same. An acknowledgement that something real existed, even if it could not survive the weight placed upon it. What made the moment even more powerful was what he did not say. He did not claim ownership. He did not rewrite the story as a fairy tale. He did not use the past to feed nostalgia. Instead, he honored it. That kind of honesty rarely comes without cost. Industry insiders noticed it immediately. Speaking openly, even subtly, about a personal connection breaks an unspoken rule. It invites speculation. It disrupts carefully maintained narratives. And yet, Dylan chose to speak anyway. Why now? Some believe time finally softened the fear. Others think maturity brought clarity. And some suspect that silence, carried too long, simply became unbearable. Because there comes a point when protecting an image starts to feel like betraying yourself. As for Shen Yue, her absence from the conversation spoke just as loudly. She did not rush to respond. No statement. No clarification. No denial. Just quiet. And in that quiet, many saw dignity. Perhaps her response was not meant to be public. Perhaps the story had already been acknowledged in the only way that mattered. Or perhaps some truths are shared once and never repeated. The audience was left with questions, but also with something rare. Closure, without explanation. Dylan Wang did not promise a future. He did not reopen the past. He simply allowed it to exist honestly. And that is why the moment mattered. Because in a world addicted to spectacle, he chose sincerity. Years from now, fans may forget the exact words he said, but they will remember how it felt. The stillness, the vulnerability, the sense that something genuine had slipped through the cracks of performance. This was not a love story revived. It was a truth acknowledged, a chapter respected, a silence finally given meaning. And perhaps that is the most powerful ending of all.